Guys, me and Mom are going to go outside for a bit and do some recording. So you guys going to be cool?
Yep.
You guys are playing two-person spade still?
Yeah.
That's working?
Yeah, this is our second round.
Yeah.
And I'm totally demolishing him. Like, look at this. Look.
Wow.
Ace, king, queen, and jack of spades.
Wow, that's amazing. Alright, how do you feel about that?
Well, I used the king and queen. I have the jack and 10 and 9. I don't have the 8. I have the 7, 6, 5, and 2.
And last round, I had the 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2.
And these are all my clovers too.
Wow, okay. Alright, so you guys, you got your key to your room, you can go upstairs. Otherwise, stick around here until we get back, okay? Okay. Well, let's see.
Go.
Okay, all right guys, we're here in Dinguishe. We arrived yesterday, as you saw in the last video. Right now we picked a spot kind of on a big hill here, beautiful background, and we are doing basically nothing today. This is the first day on the trek, day 11, and we're just not going to do anything. We are staying in Dinguishe for 3 nights, 2 days. That's not common, but what is common is to stay in Dinguishe for your acclimatization day. We're just staying for 2 days. Usually for an acclimatization day, you want to hike high and sleep low. Well, today we just decided, you know what, we're taking the day off. So what better thing to do than sit here in front of a camera in this very windy environment that hopefully isn't going to affect the microphone too much. We don't have any lapel mics, so we can't, you know, it's just, I'm not going to pack lapel mics because I got so many other things in my backpack. So hopefully the audio comes across okay on this. But tomorrow we are going to do some hiking high and sleeping low. We are going to be going on a hike, probably hiking around, I don't know, maybe 4,900 meters.
All right, it's a beautiful, beautiful morning, and we're starting day 12. And this day we're doing an acclimatization hike. I don't know exactly where we're going, to be honest. I just know that we're going up high. So maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. We'll see. Usually when we decide we're going to do a hour acclimatization hike, it usually turns into 3 or 4. Hopefully not today.
But the whole purpose of this video is we wanted to go over some things that we have not gone over in any other video, just some things that we've kind of noticed that just really don't have time to put in other vlogs, mainly because we're too tired or just don't think of it or whatever. So I made a list, and there's just some things that we thought would be very good informational things that you really don't see so much in other vlogs, and just kind of our own viewpoint on it. So earlier on, I told you about the problem that we ran into where I didn't have enough cash. Well, when we got to Namche Bazaar, there was a ton of ATM machines, so it was totally fine. Now, you can only pull out about 100 US or 10,000 rupees, and they charge you like a $5 fee every time. Luckily with my credit card company, I get reimbursed all credit card fees. So that means that you're basically getting charged 5% at the ATM. So it's not cheap. So if you can get plenty of money beforehand, that's best. But if you do have free ATM fee rebates, then you're going to be good to go. But we were able to pull out enough money, enough cash in Namche Bazaar, which made it okay. Now, you can use credit cards at certain places. However, they're going to charge you anywhere from 5% to 10%. 10% being the most common. In fact, there's only been one time where I was charged 5%. Here in Dinguishe, here at the hotel we're staying at, 10%. So if you have enough cash, that's good. But for us, a family of 4, it's like minimum $100 a day. That includes the meals and the lodging, and that's a minimum. So you got to think, if you're out for a couple weeks, how much cash do you need to have on you? Well, if you have rupees, let me tell you, the stack gets really thick.
So on that point, one of the benefits of going with a company is that most of your meals and your accommodations are already handled with what you paid for the trek and the guide and the porter. So the only cash you'll really need is, your extra snacks or meals that your company may or may not pay for. They'll let you know what they pay for and what they don't, so that you can plan ahead of time. But any extra equipment or any souvenirs that you want to buy on your way, that's pretty much the money that you'll need to bring. I've heard like for a single person, like $100 US is enough. So just, $100 per person if you're going with a company. As a family, we have found many reasons or benefits not to go with a company, just because we can take our time to take as long as we need to acclimatize and to stop wherever we want. If the kids need a little playtime, stop by the river, make some rock stacks, stuff like that. Play guns with their hiking sticks or whatever.
As we were doing, we were climbing up the big old hill to go to the Everest View Hotel. I don't know if I got this on video or not. I haven't edited that video, so I don't know. But they're pew 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 pew, all running up and down. I was like, aren't you, come on, aren't you feeling the, the altitude, guys? Anyway.
Yeah, so, with a trekking company, your kids wouldn't really have the time to just run off to the side and play a little bit here or there. So, because they're not really geared towards kids necessarily.
So doing it independently, you do have to carry a lot more cash on you. But you can usually find better rooms unless you go to a higher grade trekking company, which you're going to pay nearly double for. I think I've seen EBC treks go for about $1,400 a person, and then the nicer ones where you get the nicer rooms and all that probably go up to around $2,500 per person. So you got to take that in mind. And with the trekking company, you're on a schedule. You have to stick to that schedule, and you have to continue on whether you're sick or not. Otherwise, you have to stay back, and the trekking company's not going to, keep the whole group back with you. You're going to be stuck in a place if you want to stay, and if you want to continue on, you're going to have to pay more for a private guide and probably even more for a private porter, because now you're kind of outside that system. So it's kind of risky going with a trekking company because you have to keep the schedule, and if you get sick, man, you're screwed. I mean, obviously we know that there are probably more risks going independently. I'll fully admit it. There's definitely more risk. You don't have anybody who knows the way helping you out. You have to hope that you can get a room at a lodge that night and that you don't run into any issues. And if there is an accident, a lot of these guys have walkie-talkies, so they have, so they're in communication with, people that are stationary, so they can GPS you. There's lots of times where there's no signal. So if you were to get hurt independently, that's a risk. I would have to say that's riskier. Now, to mitigate what I just said there about it being risky to being independent, you don't really find yourself that alone on the trek. There's usually a ton of people on the trek. Maybe an hour max. Would you be out trekking without seeing somebody? Maybe.
I don't even think it's that long.
Okay.
I would give it a max of 30 minutes.
Okay, good. So is it that risky trekking independently? No, not on this trek. No.
And they are doing a trial run of a Wi-Fi service throughout the valley called Everest Link, and it has an emergency option if you ever get into something like that. I don't know how good the coverage is continuing up the valley, but walking inside any of the towns, you'll be able to pick it up.
Most every time I've looked, I've been able to find this Wi-Fi signal called Everest Link. Now, this is not good Wi-Fi to get if you're watching YouTube videos or something like that, because it's so expensive. You're talking, maybe $1 per megabyte or something. You're talking probably $1,000 to watch a full length movie or something. But it does have emergency options, which is really cool. I just don't know how good the signal is, but I know it is pretty good. I just don't know if it's with you the whole time. I haven't checked, but definitely in all the villages you'll find an Everest Link on your Wi-Fi options.
And most of the villages, there are actually a lot of them. I think the max length that we've gone without seeing a village is like 45 minutes. And every village will have some type of pharmacy and some type of horse service or helicopter service that they can get you if you really do need some emergency medical help.
Yeah, so I don't think you're ever that far from being helped if you ran into something. So, you know, it's not that bad to do it independently from that perspective. The worst thing I can think of doing it independently is you don't have a porter. That is the worst thing. Not having a guide is not a big deal at all. Maybe you miss out on some of the cultural things that a guide might tell you. I don't know, but having the porter is pretty nice. I have to admit that's the roughest part, is when you're lugging all your stuff, and with me and what we're doing, we're lugging all the extra camera equipment, which adds on many pounds. But I don't think Aiden mind, because Aiden's been carrying around 2 rocks since Pan-Bochet. I mean, this sucker's like this big, and he's got to carry it around.
About that size.
Well, yeah, let me get that. Yeah, so he's carrying around 2 rocks. I think he ditched 1, but he's carrying around 1 rock. This rock is at least a pound or 2, at least a couple pounds, I think.
Yeah.
But he's been using it to grind things with, and I actually don't know what he's doing with it. I just know he's smoothed it out, the surface.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's carrying this along with his other pack. So now he's increased his weight by a percentage point or something. Anyway, so Aiden doesn't mind about the porter, but I do, because I can definitely, the rock started tumbling. But I do, because, man, that after you're going uphill for an hour or 2, it really starts to weigh on you, no pun intended.
Now, one of the benefits I would say in having a guide is if you're really bad at directions and don't really know how to use a compass and a map. That's not an issue for me, because I did orienteering when I was younger, so I know how to do all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad, because I don't really pay attention. I'm telling you, when we were going in and out of Tamil, I'm literally telling you the truth, that I never knew where I was. I was always depending on Amy to tell us where to go. She always knew where to go, but it was so confusing to me. I'm just not good with that type of thing. So anyway, so it's good to have an Amy on your trek. So far, we've been able to find pretty decent lodging. I mean, I wouldn't even almost call most of the places we're staying at tea houses. I would mostly go into lodging, not quite hotel status, but definitely above tea house status, I would say. I guess it depends on your definition of tea house, but it's been pretty nice. I mean, I think every place that we've stayed has had the availability for a hot shower, whether it came free with the room or whether you had to pay for it. I don't think there was one place. Was the Pungi Tenga, did they have a hot shower there?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, so I don't know of one place we stayed where you couldn't have paid for a hot shower if you wanted it. Also, I think most every place had the availability to do your laundry. Now, was it going to be dry in time for the next day? I don't know, but they would at least wash it for you.
Yeah, you would only want to do laundry if you were staying 2 nights, because they would have it ready by, I guess, noon, between noon and 2 o'clock the next day, if you got it to them by like 6 or 7 that night. Because they start the laundry in the morning, they don't start it at night.
Yeah, and then we used the laundry service one time when we were staying at Hotel Namche. It made sense. We were there for 2 full days. It was expensive. It was like $1 per piece of clothing. So obviously that's very expensive.
But it evened out, because even the bigger pieces, it was still just $1 when we were charged $2.50 per jacket other places.
Okay, so still way more expensive to do it yourself. So most of the time, Amy's washing up the piece of clothing, and then we just put it on our backpack, and it dries throughout the hike, which you've seen in some of the videos where we have, Amy's backpack is lined with a whole bunch of socks, or we have underwear stuck on the back of our backpacks and all kinds of stuff. At this point, you just you can't be too shy, because you're out here trekking, and if you want clean clothes, that's what you're going to have to do. Okay, so here's one thing that I want to go over, because to me it's very alien, okay? But it's a necessity here. So when you're going poo, you have to wipe your bottom, and you have to fold it and throw it in a trash can. And if you're staying in a place for a couple days, it's not like they do room service. So you have this trash can full of poo wiped toilet paper. It's just odd to me. I almost can't do it because I want to just flush it down. But the septic systems here are bare minimum, so they can't handle much more than their basic organic load, if you know what I'm saying. Now, there are, I think probably most toilets, at least 50% of the toilets do have the sprayer. But when you're sitting on the toilet and you can see your breath, it's that cold, there's no way you want to take one of those sprayers and turn it on and put ice cold water up your, your wazoo there. It's just, I mean, that's just deadly. It's bad enough washing your hands with cold water after you've gone poo, which hopefully you do, and we have to keep on the boys about that. But anyway, I can't imagine. Anyway, so that's kind of an odd thing, and you will have to do it, and it's everywhere, and you will have to fold up your toilet paper and put it in a trash can. You have no choice. And in every bathroom I've been in, there's tons of warnings about do not flush anything down besides your poo. So, okay, another big thing, obviously you want to stay hydrated on the trek. And I've seen a lot of videos where people talk about getting water from the streams and that sort of thing, but you just got to, you just have to filter it, or you have to put, the tablets in it, or we use our Sterapin. But the problem that I've seen is that you can go hours and not see a water source. It's not like they're that prevalent. There are, I would say it probably averages out to a water source per hour or 2 hours, but you might hit 1 or 2 water sources in 10 minutes, and then you might not see anything for 3 hours, and if you're out of water, that sucks. So you always got to be carrying an extra bottle of water with you.
What we have been running into is that we've been holding out to find a free water source, and then a couple people run out of water, and we just have to stop somewhere and buy a couple bottles of water, and then 5 minutes later, there's a water source.
Yeah, that's happened a couple times, which is very annoying, and happened right after we spent $2.50 on bottles of water. So it starts getting very expensive as you go up. I think right now it's averaging out about $1.50. But this was like a little roadside stand, and we're out of water, so we have to buy some. And obviously you don't want to carry a whole bunch of extra water on you because that's a ton of weight. So you're kind of in this balance between carrying too much water but not carrying enough and having that weight. So that's something to think about. Altitude. Since we're taking a lot more time than normal, we're actually been doing very well with the altitude, and I think we're really seeing it lately, because at first we were really just the slowest people on the trek, no doubt about it. We're just super slow. We're not trying to overexert ourselves, but yesterday I really saw it when we were starting to go higher in the altitude, that us and the boys were just totally keeping up and even going faster than some of these tour groups that had people in them that didn't have the weight that we had on them because they were getting so pounded by the altitude, and we've been at it for a lot longer than them. They're on day 5, 6, and we're on day 10. Plus, we stayed 2 weeks in Kathmandu, which isn't very high altitude, but it is a lot higher than people are used to. It is 1,400 meters. I mean, where we stayed in St. Louis, it's what, 100 meters max?
Yeah.
So there you go. And people staying by the beach, obviously you're at 0 meters. So there is a difference there, and we already stayed there for 2 weeks. So we're getting acclimated very gradually, and we're starting to see how much better we're doing than the people that are part of groups that are, by necessity, that are forced to do it a lot more quickly. So we are here in Dingboshe, and this is, 4,400 meters. Now we go to, Douglas, which is next, is about 4,600 meters, and then up to Loboshe, which is about 4,900 meters. And I think at that point in time is where it's going to start getting really cold. Now we talked to a guy on the trek, and he wanted just, because we're an oddity out here. You got, a mom and a dad and 2 boys. I haven't seen that elsewhere. I have seen other children, but I've not seen any other independent families by any means. So people want to stop and talk to us, and one guy was telling us they just, they were heading back, and Gork Shep was just freezing. So right now, I think it's probably, 40 degrees Fahrenheit out here?
Yeah, just because of the sun.
So now we're going higher, and I think it's going to get much colder. Like right now, we haven't even had to bust out our down jackets yet. So I think around low Bochet, we'll see where we're going to have to bust it out. But that's another thing about us taking our time. We're getting used to the cold a lot more. Like when it's winter time, where we're from, the first few weeks, month, it's just like, you know, it's hellacious because you're so cold. But by the time you're midway through winter, you're more used to it. You don't have to put on as much clothing. So that's another big benefit for us taking our time. So I really predict when we get to Gork Shep, and one of the days when we hike up Kalapatar, which is this mountain that you have to hike up to actually see Everest in its full glory, as long as it's not too cloudy. I've read so many times that that's where people just die, right? That's where they can't take it anymore because now you're at 5,500 meters. And I predict that with the slow pace that we're taking, we're going to be going up a lot more easily than the people that have been ramrodded through. Now, we will have been out more than twice the amount of time that they have, and they're going to be like, what's up with these people? This is my prediction. We'll see. I could be completely wrong, and I'll look back on this and say, Ronnie, you're stupid. 5,500 meters, I don't give a crap, you're going to die. I'm not saying it's not going to be hard. I just think that we're going to make it look a lot easier than the people that have been. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm just saying that from the outside looking at us, we're going to look like oddities because they're going to wonder how the hell we're making it up so efficiently and how our kids are not dying. So, but we'll see. We'll see.
Now, another thing on clouds and weather is that it's pretty clockwork in the valley. It's nice and clear in the morning, and then all the clouds start coming in around 10 o'clock, and then by 2, 3 o'clock it's fully cloudy. And that's why you want to start out at least by, you know, between 7, 9 o'clock in the morning so that you're making it to your next town before it's getting cold and cloudy, because you will be walking through the cloud and you will be getting wet.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, she said valley a couple times, and to us this just makes sense because when you go through the Everest trek, you're basically going through this massive valley to get up to Gork Shep to hike to the base camp. Just wanted to point that out. I didn't know it. Maybe it was no-brainer to you, but I'm like, Everest base camp trek, you're trekking through whatever. I didn't know. So
well,
anyway, it's a valley.
Well, I looked at the 3D maps and I saw that it just went through the valley.
Oh, okay. Well,
they're not going to take you over the mountains.
yeah, I know. I just whatever. Maybe it's valuable information. Maybe it's not.
Okay.
So anyway, well, we've been out here for a while now. I think it's time to conclude this video. But this is, you know, I mean, well, see right there. You can't even see the freaking mountains because of the clouds. That's a bummer. Yeah. So maybe earlier in the video you could see a little bit of the mountains, but you know, right behind those clouds, just massive, beautiful mountains. And I mean, basically everywhere you look around here, when there's not clouds, just massive, beautiful peaks. I mean, just gorgeous. But as I was saying, we've been out here for a while. The boys are in the common room still playing two-person spades, however that works. And anyway, we better wrap this up. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay.
Maybe you could do a 360 to show them the clouds around here.
Oh yeah, so here's a little 360 for you.
Hey!